Sup, you chuckle fucks? I was about to say my fucking first channels. Not the point. No, sup, you chuckle fucks? It's your boy Dark Record here with the What If Issei had God powers, part 3. Before I go on with this what if, I should mention how many hours I got to sleep. So I got basically, I want to say 5 hours of sleep. And then I got more hours of sleep when I came back after kind of dropping off my sibling at school. And I was just like, I don't feel like going to sleep, but I do feel tired extremely like shit. So, of course, I fell asleep because it was still dark and cloudy because it just rained a while ago. But not the point. It's already 11 o'clock. It's not 7. I did kind of wake back up at like 9 something, but not the point. So, of course, let me begin into this what if. Let me shut the fuck up and let me just start. So, we begin into Issei, well, mostly just waking up. This is where, well, he starts kind of like mostly opening one of his eyes. This is where, well, they're not supposedly golden brown right now. They seem to be mostly a lightish crystallized blue color that kind of shines upon thanks to the sunlight kind of going on his eyes. They shine upon one of his eyes being crystallized blue. The other one seems to be a red color. But this is where, well, he closes his eyes and decides to just kind of like move his head to the right side and like not really get annoyed by the sun. This is where, well, he decides to grab something on top of his like mostly, well, on top of his like jaw, like these black shaded glasses, and puts them on. This is where, well, he gets up and starts kind of like getting ready for school. But before getting ready for school, he starts having to well, notice something in the bathroom. He noticed something in the bathroom real fucking quick and realized that, well, he has a little problem. He doesn't have a specific type of coloring dye, and of course, mostly, yeah. This is where, well, he sighs and just has to make do what he can do, and mostly try to contain his hair to be the same color as brown. This is where, well, he just sighs in annoyment, but he will have to go get more hair dye later. Maybe he can put on a hood and not really care too much. So he doesn't care too much. But of course we go into mostly him getting out of the house. Of course, well, he has his eye lenses right now on top of his eyes. His actual real eye color was actually shown, kind of, but not really. No one knows about this real eye color. Neither do they know about his true hair color. So of course that's the thing. But we go into mostly him kind of getting to school. This is where, well, he's kind of like zombie walking to school because he's a little bit tired from like last night adventures. Basically, he just beat the shit out of some Yakuzas pretty easily by either cracking their skulls in or beating the shit at them so easily without a care in the world. They were absolute nothing to him. They might have used weapons. He used nothing but legs and well, fists. And yet, they all got knocked out easier. Well, easier than he ever got knocked out. Because none of them managed to strike him at all. Not even one good strike was able to kind of knock them out. Because none of them actually was able to hit him at all. He was much quicker and faster than all of the grown-ups. Somewhat. There were somewhat grown-ups. Some of them were somewhat still in high school, being like 18 from a different school, but not the point. But we go into mostly the brownish haired boy kind of getting to school. Of course, he's yawning until two people right now pat him in the back. Well, trying to. But before they can even pat him in the back, mostly Issei says, "What do you want, Motohama Masuda?" That's where both of them say, hey, Issei. They stop for a second from actually patting him in the back. Because when... Never say this again. Well, when Issei was found out to be the god of delinquents, mostly both Masuda and Motohama has become quite unnerved with him because mostly he's like able to like sense him coming behind him. He like has eyes behind his head. But this is where, well, both of them just kind of just didn't pat him in the back too hard because, well, they don't really want to piss off an Issei that seems to be quite tired. And this is where, well, mostly they say, "Hey, Issei." This is where, well, mostly Issei stands there for a bit quiet and says, "What do you want?" This is where, well, Issei then answers. This is where, well, mostly just ask them both. This is where, both of them say, "Oh, we're just here to tell you about, do you want to go to our house to go watch this?" This is where, well, mostly they show a phone, and of course it's this like airy, mostly erotic kind of like movie. Issei says, "No, I have things better to do." This is where, well, Motohama says, "Like what?" "Fight against other delinquents, because I have to clear out mostly a bunch of delinquents from mostly Kuo." It's because mostly Kaichu asked me to do it. This is what, well, mostly Murahama and Matsu were surprised that Sona actually asked Issei to kind of clear up mostly a bunch of, bunch of delinquents around the, like, Kuo. This is what, well, they say, why did you even accept it then? This is what, well, Issei says, because it's much more fun than dealing with idiots in school. Besides, I get to release stress upon other idiots. And also, the second option was to play against her in chess. And not gonna lie, I did play against chess, but her fucking friend pissed me the fuck off. Who was that? Ria's Gremory. This is where, well, Issei literally said it bluntly. This is where, well, they were shocked. They said, how do you hate her? She's one of the most beautiful people ever in this verse, and she just got bitch smacked last time. This is where both of them were shocked and were growling at Issei, and Issei growls at them with a murderous look in his eye. Growl at me one more time and I'll make sure to put you both in the hospital with the karate master leader. This is where both of them shut up in an instant because they know how Issei is quite deadly. He's not hesitating to beat the shit out of them. Just because they're friends doesn't mean they won't get the same treatment as everyone else. Just because, well, you are friends with him doesn't mean you're gonna get the same treatment. Your alliance with him doesn't mean you're gonna get the same treatment as like royalty or anything. He doesn't care. Issei never cares that much. But yeah. But this is where, well, mostly they nodded and just keep walking. This is where, well, mostly Issei kind of sighs, and this is where, well, Issei says, hey, Hanma. Hanma was actually kind of like going to the side of him. Of course, mostly Murahama and Tsuda actually notice him. And this is where, well, both Matsuda and Murahama are kind of scared of Hama also, because Hama, he doesn't seem to listen to them at all. Listen to their commands or whatever. Because, well, they seem to be quite lowly than him. Because Hama only listens to commands from Issei, not Murahama or Matsuda. Why the hell would she? I mean, not she. Mostly, why the hell would he even listen to those idiots? They're just two perverts who doesn't understand what true power is. But yeah. But we go into mostly Hanma saying, so, I took in out those group of guys you told me yesterday. I see. So, who are we going to go against next? Let's see. The Black Panthers? No. Let's see. Who do we want to go against? There's a bunch of other freaking names. XYXY. This is where, well, mostly he says, what kind of stupid ass name is that? Don't know, that's literally one of the gang names. Well, mostly one of the biker gang names around here, delinquents that made it. What the hell would they even made out of? Middle schoolers? Probably. I didn't actually know much about them, but I found out more information after a while. That's where, well, he pulls out a list and gives it to Issei. Issei reads upon it and sees a bunch of like people, mostly either being part of a Yakuza. So either they're part of a Yakuza or part of a bigger company from a different like city entirely, like being Tokyo, actual Tokyo, not Tokyo, Shiba City, like Tokyo, Kyo, or like somewhere else. And of course, this is where he realized that some of them are actually mostly funded by the government probably. And yet, Issei doesn't give a damn. Whoever they are, he doesn't care. He's a menace. Why the hell would he even care? That's where, well, mostly Issei nodded and says, well, good to know. It seems that half of these group are also kind of a part of bigger companies and other things. Should we mess with them? Hama said. That's where Issei said, of course, yes. We're gonna kick them out of fucking Kuo. I'm gonna break their bones and show them what's fucking good in hell and heaven. This is where, well, mostly Hama nodded, saying, okay. This is where, well, mostly they are walking to school, and of course, when they get to school, they see the gates still not being closed because they actually arrive at time, even though Issei would rather arrive very fucking late later, like without a care in the world. But this is what, well, mostly everyone in the school kind of noticed them and kind of becomes quiet. They were all talking loud until they all become quiet in an instant and just started whispering. This is where Issei just ignores them entirely. Hama just ignored them also. Both Matsuda and Murahama were happy that they're kind of popular, but not really popular in the terms they wanted to be at. Mostly, of course, the entire school fears only Issei and Hama because they are the likely ones who actually throw hands. While no one actually fears Murahama or even Matsuda because they are not people to actually like fight. They seem to just be behind Issei and Hama's fame. just of their flaming, their fame and glory of how their paralysis kind of work. Mostly, one can be cold, threatening, and quite manipulated, while the other one is like a zombie that doesn't like getting taken out too easily and beat the shit of anyone else. But yeah, that's where mostly that's what they're hiding behind. Of course, they aren't even safe because mostly Issei knows what they're trying to do most of the time and doesn't like that at all. But of course, what he does is just ignores both of them. Because if they actually come to becoming an annoying threat or just an annoying bother, he will kick them out of his group, friend group. Because, well, they're kind of useless, so yeah. But the only reason why he still hangs out with both of them is because, well, he doesn't have many friends. I mean, he does talk to them somewhat, but not for better stuff. He just asks them about some of the rumors that usually goes around. Because mostly those two just like to be mostly eavesdropping on a bunch of people's conversations, but not the point. Of course, they're good intelligence kind of spies, just for Issei and not really friends entirely, but yeah. But of course, we go into mostly Issei going onto a time skip. Well, mostly a time skip of, well, Issei. We go into mostly a couple days later. Mostly Issei actually does kind of walk into, well, when I mean a couple days later, I mean like literally like 4 days later. Of course, before like being Saturday. So of course it's like Friday right now. Issei goes into Kaichu's kind of like, mostly council room. Of course, he didn't knock at the door. He instead just opens it because he doesn't care too much. But when he opens it, what he sees is Sona. But Sona embarrassed, just seeing Issei and actually having tears in her eyes. This is where Issei was confused and what was happening. But when Issei looks down into her clothing, she looks like this. So she's kind of wearing like this kind of clothing right here. Kind of like a short kind of shirt, kind of like the uniform, with really cut sleeves and other things, showing a bit of her stomach, and of course a very like skimpy kind of skirt. But yeah, this is where, well, she also has like long sleeve gloves, long sleeve gloves, and she was actually like taking a picture on her phone to send to someone. And this is where when she noticed Issei coming in, literally Issei just like walked in without a care in the world. Like he didn't knock, he didn't care too much because he'd done this before. So of course, why the hell would he care about knocking or any of that? He's not formal at all with Sona at all. So of course, mostly when Issei walked in, he still had the door like knob in his hand still. So of course what Issei did is say, nope, I'll talk to you later. And then Issei closed the door in an instant, like he walked the fuck out of there. This is where, well, mostly Issei's face kind of had a little tint of blush, but not much. He then kind of just turned back to a emotionless look. This is where, well, mostly Sona's face is all red in an instant, just seeing how mostly her kind of, well, mostly developed crush slash fiance, well, mostly somewhat fiance, even though he definitely just said that it was a tie, not a win or win. This is where, well, mostly she actually started developing a crush on Issei. The reason why is because Issei is more mature, somewhat mature, even still he's a delinquent. He shows a lot more responsibility somewhat, and shows to kind of be somewhat respectful, not much, but still just some of it. But he's also extremely smart, very smart. Of course, he's also extremely somewhat manipulator. But this is where, mostly Sona started kind of developing a crush on Issei for that. This is where, Issei also seems to know about mostly a lot of truth because, well, it seems that he has a lot of experience. She doesn't know much about his background because when she checked on it, it really didn't have too much background unless Issei was the one to delete it or someone else cleared it. This is where, well, she was kind of grumbling annoyment, but yeah, when she found out that. But now that she noticed her kind of crush right in front of her, literally just walked out of the door, like walked away, like he didn't care too much, like that ain't my problem, so I'm not dealing with that. Of course, Sona's face is almost entirely red. She falls down to the ground, kind of, well, a little bit crying, but this is where, well, she then thinks that maybe Issei isn't going to say anything. This is where, well, mostly the whole day has been mostly Sona thinking that mostly someone's going to talk about mostly what she was wearing. Of course, she went back to the normal school uniform that she was wearing, but she was actually very scared. Of course, she did take a picture so she can send it to Seraphim because Seraphim was the one to send these type of clothing towards her. That's why she was kind of wearing them in the first place. She was going to take a picture real quick and send him towards what's it called, Serapha, so she could stop bothering her. But instead, she's more embarrassed than anything. That's where, well, she didn't want anyone to see her like that, especially her crush being Issei. This is where, well, she then just kind of saddened and cries about it. Of course, she's like mostly stoic outside when it comes to her members, but she's right now crying inside because, well, Issei hasn't said anything and it's been really quiet the whole day. That's where, well, we go into mostly later on when mostly everyone is kind of going home, even what's called Sona's Barrage, because Sona didn't really have any contract for them to actually do too much. And of course, well, she was actually going to go do a contract herself because she was very nervous, stuttery, and sometimes didn't want to just face, well, mostly anyone that she knows, especially Issei. But before she can even go do a contract, like make a magic circle, someone already walked in through the door, and luckily she didn't make a magic circle, but this worked well. Who it was none other than Issei. Issei said, hey, Sona, this worked well. We'll see. Issei is not going to literally talk about what he saw like about a couple of hours ago. He's just going to tell her about mostly the delinquents that he managed to get rid of in the past 4 days, but not the point. This is where Sona's face is a little red and says, hey, Issei. This is where, well, she's trying not to stutter and trying to just become normal again. Issei said, okay, so I just came here about an hour ago to talk about, well, not an hour ago, like, this is where, well, Issei said, I came here to talk to you about most of the delinquents that are around Kuo. This is where, well, Sona then says, I understand. This is where, well, inside she's happy that Issei isn't bringing up the whole fact that he basically saw her in that very, very sexualized, well, mostly uniform. This is where, well, Issei can't really, like, well, he can get that thing out of his head. He has a private folder inside his head and what he wants to look at, because he's still somewhat pervert, but not much. Of course, that he kept that in his head because mostly a mental mind link, or mostly image, because that was actually quite cute in his opinion. But not the point. This is where, well, mostly Issei says, oh, so I came here to talk to you about the delinquents. So this is where Issei pulls out a paper behind him. That's where, well, fold the paper and decides to kind of mark down all the delinquents that were actually a part of a group that was actually having a name and not just some delinquents just on the street. Issei names out about, well, 17 different groups. This is where, well, mostly he says there's still more groups around here, but there's either smaller or somewhat the larger type of, like, Yakuza bosses. This is where, well, mostly Sona won her eyes after hearing the fact that Issei has been dealing with 17 different groups and has already finished them and has kind of sent them packing up their bags and kind of going the fuck out of here. This is where, well, she nodded and says, I see. So, are you going to be doing that on the weekend? And this is where, well, Issei said, well, mostly tomorrow I have a specific date I want to kind of say. So, of course, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do any more kind of getting rid of, what's it called, any mostly gang-related groups or anything. I guess I can tell Hanma to get rid of some of the delinquents, some of the smaller group of delinquents. I mean, he also has gotten rid of like a couple. So, of course, that would be a total of mostly 25 that we gotten rid of. Of course, he's much slower to kind of deal with mostly some of the delinquents, but not the point. But this went well. Issei then explains that I will ask him to kind of go do that. But yeah, this where, well, Sona says, wait. Did you just say you're having a date on what's it called, the weekend? This is where Issei says, oh yeah, sorry. Well, not really a date. He didn't say that he's going to go on a date that much. He said that he's just going to go out with like someone somewhat. Probably they won't show up that much. He doesn't know. This is where, well, Sona nodded and says, I see. This is where inside she was feeling envy, jealousy, and hatred. Who the hell exactly asked him out? This is where, well, right now Sona says, is it Rias that asked you out? Issei says, hell no. I'd rather not even date her at all. I'd rather date a fucking Coke. A Diet Coke, a fucking can. Even though I hate Diet Coke cans because they taste disgusting in my opinion. Still, I'd rather date that than ever be anywhere near that red-haired bitch again. This is where, well, mostly Sona noticed that Issei still hates her a lot. This is where, well, mostly Sona nodded and says, okay, well, is that all you want to report? Issei says, yeah. This is where, well, Issei was about to start walking away until Sona was, thank goodness that mostly Issei didn't mention anything about that outfit. And this is where, well, Issei says, oh, before I go, this is where Sona says, damn it, did I speak too soon? Issei says, I'm interested in why you're not actually wearing that whole uniform permanently, since that kind of, well, mostly no. He didn't say anything about it because he just didn't care too much. Well, he did, but he didn't want to say anything kind of rude too much, because he didn't want to deal with Sona's and her kind of embarrassment too much. So, of course, it's where, well, Issei decides to walk away, and this is Sona says, thank goodness, I'm free. Maybe I shouldn't do this contract. Yeah, I'm not doing it. But we go into mostly Issei going towards what they call doing a little bit more, what's it called? Delinquent hunting, mostly Yakuza hunting, but not the point. He found a group of, what's it called? But of course, well, Issei went to go deal with some more of the delinquents and even Yakuzas. Doesn't work well. Before kind of like continuing on, he then kind of just sighs and just realized that, well, the person that he's going to be dealing with is a Yakuza leader, but this Yakuza leader is a little bit different. You see here, he's actually using magic right in front of Issei, trying to taunt and scare Issei away. This is where, well, Issei notices, and instead of like running away or getting scared from magic being real, he seems not to even care. The whole fact of magic being real or any of that, he seems to just show really no care of magic at all. Like if he already knew magic was actually a real thing. But that's not the case. How would he know that? Unless he believed in the supernatural in the beginning. But this is where, well, mostly the Yakuza leader says, hey, what are you doing? I have magic. I'll burn you alive. Issei says, do I look like I care? Issei's eyes, almost like his eye, mostly, he has eyes right now turned red and blue for a second. It looks like the eyelashes that were covering his eyes shatters into a million pieces. Right now, pieces of little like plastic glass falls down on the ground. This is where, well, the Yakuza boss was scared in an instant when mostly Issei's hair started flowing up in an instant. This is where, well, it was actually still brown, but turning white in an instant. Silverish white. This is where before the Yakuza boss can do anything, a red ball appears in mostly Issei's hand. This is where he kind of puts his hand shape into his hand into like a gun, mostly figure. And this is where, well, Issei says, reverse red. Well, mostly, let me say it again. This is where, well, it was called Reversal Red, and before the Yakuza boss can do anything like use magic, he was about to try to send magic straight into Issei, like multiple fireballs, but this is where the ball right now kind of smashes upon the Yakuza boss, when mostly everything turned red in an instant, and this is where, well, mostly Issei's hair was blowing up, thanks to the pressure of power that was releasing through this, like, attack. This is where, well, everything we go into mostly a smaller time skip, mostly like a couple of minutes ago. The Yakuza boss is right now smashed into the wall and all knocked the fuck out. He has more burn marks than anything that he tried to throw at, well, mostly throw at, well, Issei. This is where, well, all the fireballs that were supposedly attacking Issei were also gone. They didn't even manage to hit Issei at all. This is where, well, Issei's eyes were closed in an instant. This is where, well, he then opened his eyes and looks at the Yakuza boss saying, pathetic. This is where, well, Issei walks up to the Yakuza boss, grabbing the Yakuza boss from the hair and then pulling him up saying, listen up, you fucker. If you say anything to anyone about this, I'll kill you. I'll make sure you stay dead. I don't care about your magic at all. Your magic is all useless against me. Understand? The Yakuza boss was already unconscious, of course. What can he do against someone who literally is shown to be somewhat of a god? This is where, well, mostly Issei just decides to kind of grab him from the throat and just crush his throat. He didn't care. He didn't want the Yakuza boss to snitch or anything. So, of course, this is where, well, he decides to kill him anyway. But not the point. But this is where, well, we go into mostly Issei walking away. His hair was silverish white for a second. This is where, well, he decides to add a bit of mostly energy onto his hair to turn it brown. This is where, well, his eyes, mostly his eyelashes were kind of shattered, so of course, he looks down to see his eyelashes and sees that mostly one of them is kind of, he only has one eyelash. So of course he's going to cover his bluish crystallized eye. Well, mostly not bluish crystallized eye. He's mostly going to cover it up with this red eye, the eyelashes, the brown eyelash, but not the point. He also needs to go buy more. But this is where, well, he's going to have to wear an eye patch for his date. He sighs, but he doesn't care too much. This is where, well, He then kind of, well, goes back home, uses a bit of energy to try to dye his hair brown because, well, it became silver after that whole moment. It also did melt it thanks to the heat, but yeah. Doesn't work well. He decides he either has to go on his date to go get more hair dye, or he just uses a bit of energy and make sure that mostly no one else knows about the energy. He thinks that no one knows about the energy anyway, what he uses to try to change his hair color, but not the point. Doesn't work well. We go into a time skip later, mostly the next day. Doesn't work well. The next day happens and Issei is actually going towards the date around 10. What Issei is wearing, mostly in his right eye, he's wearing an eye patch, mostly a black kind of eye patch that kind of looks like a, you know, when you get hurt in your eyes, you do put like that bandage or whatever, just so it looks like you're hurt. Yeah, he kind of has that, while in his left eye is kind of having his brownish eye color. Doesn't work well. He also does have a bit of bruises around, mostly he did put bandages, but not the point. But what he's wearing is basically looking like this. So he's wearing this like blackish kind of button up kind of coat with mostly black pants and black dressing shoes, but not the point. This is where, well, he's actually kind of waiting for his date. And this is where, well, he's kind of like texting on his phone, mostly just watching YouTube videos, but not the point. This is where, well, someone said, hi. This is where, well, mostly behind him, he turns around to see a girl with beautiful black hair. Does not actually point into a ponytail or any of that. She just has longish black hair freely kind of going down her back. This is where, well, she has magenta eyes and she's wearing this cute like dress kind of outfit like original canon. Or actually, let me change it. That's it. So I'm gonna just say she's basically wearing blue jeans, black kind of like boots, and a red shirt that kind of barely is able to kind of cover up her chest too much, but not the point. This is where, oh, she kind of just waves at the brownish hair boy. When the brownish hair boy turns around, mostly Yuma was actually shocked and said, are you okay? This is where, well, mostly Issei said, huh? What do you mean? This is where, well, right now Yuma goes up to his eye and right now points at this. This is where, well, Issei said, oh, yeah, I'm okay. I fell down some stairs, which is a complete fucking lie because mostly Issei is just covering up his eye just because he forgets to buy more eyelashes. This is where, well, he says, I just fell down the stairs yesterday. Yeah, I'm fine. This is where, well, mostly she then nods. This is where, well, she then kind of just like looks at Issei. And this is where, well, she then says, well, where do you want to go? This is where, well, Issei says, anywhere you want to go. This is where, well, mostly Issei said. Right now, Yuma nodded and says, okay, then let's go to the mall. This is where, well, mostly they're going to the mall. Of course, Yuma is like wearing casual outfit while Issei looks like he's basically going to a goddamn funeral because mostly Issei doesn't know much about style too much at all. This is where, well, mostly Yuma says, okay, let's go get you something to wear actually looking like a normal decent person. Right now Yuma kind of jokingly made a joke, and this is where, well, mostly Issei says, what's wrong with my outfit? This is where Yuma turns around and says, really? You look like you're about to go to a funeral kind of place. Wait, are you going to a funeral? Issei says, no, not really. Issei then thinks, maybe I am going to a funeral. Maybe I'm going to fucking see all those Yakuza people that I beat the shit a while ago. But not the point. That's where, well, mostly Issei is just walking with Yuma. And of course, where, well, they get towards, well, the mall. Of course, where Yuma is kind of asking mostly different casual type of clothes. Mostly kind of getting different casual type of clothes. And of course, where, well, she's acting like mostly if Issei should probably wear something different from just his black clothes. Issei sighs, but of course decides to put on the different clothes that mostly Yuma brought. So the first outfit contains mostly a white t-shirt underneath, a blue kind of like patch stripe kind of outfit, mostly button-up shirt. But of course, where it was long sleeve, but not the fun. This is where, well, he also has kind of like blue jeans and like mostly brown dressing shoes. Or mostly the black dressing shoes are fine with it, but whatever. This is where Issei says, is this good enough? This is where, well, mostly the white shirt and button-up like shirt was also quite a little bit tight, just to see if Issei was muscular, which Issei was definitely muscular, made kind of Rainer almost blush and almost had a blood nose. She then kind of shook her thoughts and said, yeah, that would be better. This is where, well, mostly she never expected mostly Issei to be ripped as hell. Issei sighs with annoyment, but of course, well, he then grunts and says, well, let's go then. This is where, well, mostly Yuma is kind of a little bit worried about Issei's eye, mostly wound. Well, how the hell did he even fall, or did he get a cut or something like that? This is where, well, she can't really sense anything from the eye. It probably is hurt, and she just can't see, but whatever. She then just kind of like keeps walking with Issei, and of course they basically go to the store, mostly to like other parts of the mall to kind of check around. But yeah, they go to a what's it called arcade to kind of like win some stuff and whatever. They go back to getting food, but whatever. Of course, it's basically their first day, and of course, Issei does like buy what's it called, like this ring, or mostly it's not a ring, it's like a bracelet. It's not like the crunchy like from Original Canyon, but a bracelet. This is where, well, or no, not a bracelet. He buys a actually necklace, a kind of amethyst kind of like necklace, and this is where, well, mostly Rainer says, I like having this date. This is fun. That's right. Well, Issei kind of goes behind her, and before she even knows it, mostly Issei's hands wrap around her kind of neck, but really just goes down. And of course, mostly Rainer was blushing a little bit if Issei's going to do something in public. This is where, well, Issei kind of reveals this like amethyst necklace around a silver kind of chain, and of course, just wraps it around her and says, "There. Now you cannot say that I own you something." This is where, well, mostly Rainer looks up at Issei and looks back at the necklace, and then looks back up at Issei and says, "Where the heck did you get this? I bought it a while ago when you didn't pay attention to me." This is where, well, mostly Rainer goes, but I don't. This is where, well, he says, "You do deserve it if you're gonna say not, because you clearly buy me these clothes. I guess I did kind of look like I was going to a funeral place for my clothing, my original clothing." This is where Rainer's blushing at the fact that Issei bought something expensive for her, and she's actually confused on how Issei even did this. This is where, well, Issei says, "Just ignoring where I got the money." This is where, well, Issei didn't, well, mostly you see here, where he got all that money is mostly from the Yakuzas, where he beat the shit out of them, the delinquents, where he just took their money, and whatever. Not the point. But this is where, well, mostly Rainer is blushing and just kind of holding on to the necklace like if it was for dear life. And this is where, well, she started kind of like crying a little bit and kind of looking at Issei. Now, of course, she's not actually going to kill him or anything, but she hasn't sent a sacred gear from him. And of course, she's a little bit worried if, what's it called, he doesn't have a sacred gear and he's just this kind. But of course, well, we go into mostly the kind of like fountain, like the same fountain they kind of went in Original Canyon. This is where, well, Rainer says, "I had a good time today. Thank you, Issei. But I think we should," this is where, well, mostly before she can even say anything, Issei kind of grabbed her from the hand and kind of like got into the trees, mostly tree line. This is where, well, mostly Rainer was confused and her mouth was covered, and this is where, well, she was even more confused until she noticed a group of bunch of people. That's where, well, Issei says, "Damn it, more delinquents. Where the hell is Hama and his fucking stupid ass having to deal with this? Wait, isn't that the same delinquents that I told Hama to deal with? Ah, damn it." This is where, well, mostly Issei noticed their kind of symbol in the back, and the symbol in the back, they have basically like this like black, what's it called, like black cat, like a big cat that does look like a panther, but it doesn't look like a panther at the same time. It's not a black cat, it's like a mountain lion they have in the back, well, back of their kind of like mostly clothing. But yeah, this is where, well, mostly Rainer is confused until Issei is actually thinking of going outside to actually fight against these people, because he doesn't want these people to kind of roam around the streets or any of that. Issei decides to kind of look at Rainer and kind of whisper into her ear not to do anything stupid, and this is where Rainer's confused, but this is where Issei decides to walk and let go of her. Decides to go towards mostly the crowd. Rainer was confused and actually wanted to tell Issei to stop it because it was stupid of him to just go there. There's no way in hell a human can go against these many people. Unless, what's it called, Issei is not a human. That's where, well, she then stays quiet because mostly Issei kind of give a hand sign that he'll be okay. And of course, well, mostly she then sighs, thinking Issei might going to be, well, doing something not crazy in her opinion. But of course, 3 seconds later, mostly Issei kind of like talks to one of the people, and one of them says, "Huh? Hey, get out of here before we this is where before the person gets to talk, mostly Issei already kicks the shit out of this guy. Issei said, "Sorry, I'm just here to kick the shit out of all of you and make you get out of Kuo permanently." This is where Issei said in a very cold, dead voice, while Rainer was kind of screaming internally inside her, telling Issei that he's an idiot. But of course, when he said it, "get out of Kuo permanently," it was cold and emotionless, which scared Rainer a lot. This is where, well, mostly instead of kind of talking to the friendly kind of cheerful boy that was mostly her boyfriend for a while, for the whole date, he's now emotionless and uncaring too much about these people. This is where, well, mostly all the gang mostly biker gang members are rushing straight towards Issei. Issei looks at them with mostly a small grin until it becomes a little bit psychotic. This is where, well, Issei kicks the shit out of mostly one person, smashing him into another group of people, mostly other people. This is where a person tries to whack at him with like a 2x4, but this is where Issei managed to grab it, use the 2x4 to smash into the person's head, and start using it as a weapon and bashing people's heads in. This is where Issei doesn't care. He's not, what's it called, someone to just use hands and, well, legs. He will also be using weapons that people would give him. Someone tries to smack him into with a metal pipe. Issei grabs it in an instant before it even hit him. He then pulls it away from the person and then smashes it with the, what's it called, person's face in an instant. Issei is grinning, but this is where, well, he's beating the shit out of everyone so easily. He's dodging, kicking, blocking, even having a sixth sense to even dodge things. That's how he can actually be able to sense people with the sixth sense, but not the point. This is where, well, he's easily beating the shit out of almost all these people in an instant. This is where he noticed the leader, and the leader was getting angrier and angry, having more text marks. But this is where Issei rushes at the leader, jumping on top of one of the guy's head, and right now started doing parkour on some of the people's heads in an instant. Started just using them as mostly like, well, landing pads to jump on and then jump off. This is where, well, mostly the, well, not Yakuza leader, mostly the biker gang leader was confused until he noticed Issei. Issei uses an axe kick to smash this guy's head into the ground in an instant, right now stomping it on the ground. That's where Issei then turns around and smiles at what the remaining biker gang members. All of them fucking ran in an instant because they saw their leader just get taken out in an instant by someone who literally just beat the shit out of them, looking like he's a casual kind of person. They are actually unnerved with casual people now, thanks to Issei's outfit. This is where, well, Issei said, pathetic. Issei kind of said, while mostly Issei kind of goes back to mostly Rainer's spot, and Rainer was just left dumbfounded, shocked, and amazed. Of course, she's amazed since Issei managed to take out a bunch of group of people at once. Of course, he was doing this at a mostly, it seems to have like a longer experience of battle. She was confused more, and of course wanted to ask him about it. This is where Issei says, so what the hell are you gonna tell me? This is what, well, we'll see, Issei said. This is Rainer said, She doesn't really want to kind of break up with this date because she enjoyed it a lot, and even the necklace that mostly Issei gave her. But of course, well, she's stuttering because, well, she also needs to kind of go on and kind of go find another Sacred Gear user to kind of be able to, well, join, what's it called, Gregorio. This is where, well, she then sighs and has to decide. This is where, well, Rainer says, I had a fun time on this date in an amazing battle that you had, but I'm sorry, Issei, but we're gonna break up. This is where, well, mostly well, Rainer said that. This is where Issei said, huh, okay, I mean, sure, why not? This is where Rainer says, wait, what? What? This is where, well, she was shocked to believe Issei literally just was okay with it. Issei says, I knew the whole date wasn't actually going to be perfect, and I was expecting that this date was going to be a complete bust because, well, I have zero experience on dating. So, of course, I literally just said, whatever happens at the very end, I will probably be heartbroken. But I know that I don't really have a heart to be speaking upon because I'm truly emotionless. This is where, well, mostly Rainer was shocked to believe that what Issei said entirely. And this is where Rainer said, this is where Issei says, but other than that, whoever you find, whoever's a good person to you, good luck with that. Other than that, don't give me back the necklace. You can have it. This is where, well, Issei walks away after a while. This is where, well, Yuma was just left dumbfounded, also known as Rain. But this is where, well, she started kind of having a little tears on her face. She realized that mostly her boyfriend was prepared for anything, or her ex-boyfriend now. Because mostly he seems to be quite, mostly professional in fighting against people, like delinquents and other people. He seems to be really considered to be a strong delinquent, but not the point. He's also respectful, kind, and other things, and also quite rich, but not the point. But also the fact that he seems to be also having prepared steps for like later on, which she was shocked, left dumbfounded, and yeah. Now, of course, she didn't sense any sacred gear from him at all. Even during the battle, he didn't have a sacred gear. He was doing this all pretty easily, even if he only had one eye. This is where, well, Issei, he could see through mostly his like bandages, thanks to his other eye, but not the point. This is where, well, she couldn't really do anything. This is where, well, she kind of felt useless during the whole battle. Because she can't show the humans the supernatural. Especially Issei, because what would Issei think about her? Would he think something different from her? Or, well, she's just scared half the time. But yeah. But of course, we go into a time skip later. Now, of course, mostly Issei kind of goes on text to Hama and what the hell happened. Hama had to kind of say sorry, but he had to deal with something else. This is where, well, Issei kind of just sighs and says, whatever, I dealt with a group of people that I had to deal with. This is where, oh, Hama nodded and says, okay, then I go deal with this group. This is where Issei says, sure, why not? Issei goes home, and of course, where, well, Issei kind of noticed, well, still his parents hasn't came back home, so of course he doesn't care. He goes inside, kind of makes some food for himself, and kind of goes to the bed and falls asleep. But yeah, this is where, well, mostly Issei is right now taking a nap, while mostly Rainer, she is still kind of trying to figure out or find someone else who seems to be quite potentially strong to join Gregorio and other stuff. That's where, well, she bumped into a guy who actually has kind of greenish, lightish green hair, and of course like this greenish eyes. Well, lightish green eyes with mostly dark green hair that kind of looks black, but not the point. His name was Midori, Midori, and of course the word, well, Midori seems to have this powerful sacred gear within him. Mostly Rainer thinks that she'll be able to kind of like get him to Gregorio, but not the point. This is where, well, we go into a time skip later on from that day, but yeah, or mostly the next day, but not the point. But we go into, well, a multiple day kind of time skip later on. Mostly it's been 2 weeks after, well, mostly that date. Of course, well, mostly we go into someone, well, mostly someone actually, well, not 2 weeks, no. Mostly we go, mostly after that couple of days, we go into mostly a, not week time skip, but mostly on Wednesday. Mostly a couple days later from that day. Of course, Issei kind of had to go to the store because, well, he needs to go buy something interesting. Well, not interesting, mostly just buy more stuff. Mostly prepare for mostly either his hair going back to silverish white for some reason, or whatever. Or, yeah, you get the point. This is where, well, he gets to the store and notices that the store is closed, which he gets kind of a tick mark. But of course, he was pretty much, it was kind of like 3, well, not 3 a.m. in the morning. It was like, well, like 11 in the afternoon. But of course, this is where, well, the store closes somewhere around like 3 probably. He can't fucking remember. But this is where, well, he was angry and annoyed. But of course, where, well, he decides to ignore it. But this is where, well, he done thinks about the biker gangs members that did attack, what's it called, or mostly those delinquents that did attack this place one time. That one time that he stopped him. He does remember he took them out and even the leader, but he then remembers that there was a bigger organization from them. But they didn't really tell them and who exactly it was. Whatever. He then thinks about it and decides to sit on a, well, mostly bench that wasn't too far from here. It was mostly just on the bus bench. He wasn't going home at all on a bus or anything. He was just kind of waiting. What to do? He can go to another store, but then again, it'd probably be a little bit more much more costlier, but not the point. This is where, well, he did notice, well, a bunch of cars rolling up to the place. And this is where, well, mostly they were all in the black cars. And this is where, well, all of them were kind of just getting out. Yeah, a bunch of people were getting out of the cars. And this is where, well, mostly Issei said, it seems that a bunch of people got out. And it isn't, what's it called, Catherine's family. Because I know Catherine is kind of what works there. Who are these people? Issei now has a cackling look in his eye. Issei decides to walk towards him, but of course, I should mention that Issei is wearing a black hood and other things, so yeah. But of course, or not a, well, yeah, a black hood, but this is where, well, Issei changes his outfit towards mostly kind of looking like a red outfit and an ensign, because, well, if it's a bunch of delinquents, then he's going to have to show them who exactly they're messing with, because he's annoyed with a bunch of people already kind of targeting the store for no other reason, just because Catherine or Moriyama works here. Because, well, he did notice that Moriyama did take a part-time job here. But this is where, well, he's annoyed that so many people will go after the pinkish hair girl. Of course, she is beautiful in his opinion, but not were enough where a bunch of people should be going after her. This is where, well, he's really annoyed of this place being keep targeted, but not the point. So the outfit he changes to is basically this red outfit right here that Zana is wearing, but not the point. This is where, well, he also has it zipped up, and this is where, well, he does have the symbol behind him that look like a balance symbol of yin yang, and of course it does have the words Taijin. This is where, well, Taijin, what's it called, mostly vice captain. This is where, well, mostly that's what it has on the background, mostly not background, on the back of the, what's it called, coat, and he's walking up against these, well, biker gang members, or whatever the hell they are. This is where one person seems to be the leader is walking up, and this is where, well, the leader decides to pull out a gun and shoot at, well, the glass. This is where, well, when he shot at the glass, he says, "Okay, boys, it's time to ransack this place. And if you find anything interesting or any location in where, well, mostly the, what's it called? This is where, oh, where the Hana family is at. Well, make sure to give me the information because I'm going to get revenge for those bastards and what they did to my delinquents, my own child." This is where he said. It looks like to be around 30 around there, mostly the older person that had a gun. And this is where, well, all of them nodded, and before they all ransacked into the place, mostly someone was actually protecting the place. She seems to have a katana with her and actually does slice against these people. This is where she did have also armor. She also had pinkish hair, which mostly, well, the leader says, "Oh, I see. So I see the Hana family decide to, well, only let their daughter decide to protect this place. Pathetic." This is where, well, he then tells a bunch of people to charge after her. Now, of course, he does have the gun pointed at mostly the pinkish hair girl, who is none other than Catherine. Catherine is right now, we go into Catherine's POV. She's right now kind of very nervous, but of course she needs to be brave. She needs to fight with all her might. She knows her family is a warrior clan family. And of course, well, she knows that so many people are enemies against the Hana family. This is where, well, she wants to be as strong like Issei is, when Issei doesn't care about bringing blood against people. He smashes his fist most of the time in people's faces and they kind of bleed out. So what's the difference about her using a sword? When she slices upon one of their members, they were actually bleeding, and of course the other people were scared. But this is where, well, mostly Catherine doesn't know if she's going to be able to dodge a bullet. But before, mostly the leader says, "If you move, I'll kill you right now. You better surrender now and let my boys have some." This is where, well, before he can even say anything, he gets his fucking arm grabbed in an instant and then snapped in an instant right now, shattering his arm. This is where, well, mostly popping out bones out of his, like, wrist. This is where he screams in pain so loud that mostly all the biker, well, mostly the Yakuza boss gang members, like little gangs or whatever, the other gang members, decide to turn around and see Issei right now having mostly the Yakuza's kind of like arm twisted, where mostly showing the bone popping out. This is where everyone was kind of disgusted. This is where, well, the Yakuza leader was screaming in pain, looks up and sees Issei. This is where, well, Issei's eyes are no longer kind of, well, showing goldenish brown, but instead a crystallized blue eye and a reddish eye. This is where, well, they're both kind of like showing a emotionless look. He says, "You're starting to piss me off, you know that?" This is where, well, the Yakuza boss leader noticed the outfit that Issei's wearing. This is where he says, "Tension gang. But I heard they disbanded along." This is where, well, Issei says, "You heard wrong." Issei grabs the gun from mostly the ground in an instant, kind of like toss it up with his leg, grab it in an instant, points it into this guy's mouth, and this is where he says, "You are gone. Be gone from my existence." Blowing this guy's brains out. This is where, well, mostly blowing the mouth out, but you get the point. Brains up, mouth out. This is where everyone just widened their eyes after seeing this. This is where Issei looks at mostly these people and saying, "You people are starting to piss me off. I'm going to show you what true murder is. What a true murderer is." This is where, well, mostly he is walking towards him. He still has the gun with him, but he does put it on safety. This is where, he decides not to show them no more mercy and instead beating the shit out of all of them. This is where, well, mostly Issei has this psychotic grin on his face. For some reason, Catherine noticed the eye color, but also noticed the brownish hair color, and noticed the outfit. For some reason, she cannot tell who exactly it was, but then for some reason, she thought of Issei. But the eye color different. This is where, well, mostly Issei has a psychotic grin, and of course, all of the members decide to ignore Catherine, rushing straight towards, well, the murderer who killed their leader. This is where, before they can even take out Issei, Issei grabs one from the head, right now kind of like grabbing it so hard where he kind of started piercing his nails into this person's skin, into his like head, and the guy was screaming in pain. But of course, one person tries to attack him with a knife, and this is where Issei smashes his kind of like hand where he has a knife. He swings it towards Issei, but Issei kind of kicks it down. He smashed the knife down to the ground, and then kind of grabbed the guy and punching him so hard in the throat, right now making sure that he probably broke something in his throat. This is where the guy is coughing up blood, falls down to the ground. Issei then tosses the guy against some people. This is where, well, Issei started kind of fighting them without any mercy. He was showing no mercy at all. He was hurting them so badly that they should be in hospitals right now. This is where, well, Catherine is just shocked, scared, and just nervous about all this. This is where, well, mostly a bunch of blood did fall upon Issei, and of course his hair was actually crimson color red for a second. And of course, this is where, well, some of the blood also kind of did erase his hair a little bit, mostly his brown hair to turning white a little bit, but not the point. This is where, well, mostly Issei sees mostly all the people that were inside the store to be already taken out, and then notice the people that were outside, mostly those who were drivers, already driving away because there were police kind of coming in. Mostly someone actually decides to hear the gunshot and decides to kind of call the cops this time. This is where, well, mostly Issei says, damn it. This is where, well, Issei noticed Catherine. This is where Catherine decides to take off her armor, and Issei says, damn it, Catherine, why the hell did you take it off? Issei decides to grab her hand and decides to run out of the store. This is where Catherine was confused, but decides to follow along Issei. Mostly she can't do anything. She still has a sword with her, but of course this is where, well, Issei says, come on. He noticed the cops, and the cops there stop, and this is where, well, some of them did manage to get out of the cars to rush after them, and this is where Catherine says, but can't we just stop to talk to them? This is where, well, Issei kind of ignores her question and decides to go to mostly a dumpster and decides to kind of put it there and just kind of put his like finger up to his mostly mouth and tells it to be quiet. This is where, well, Catherine was confused and decided to not. She decides to stay in the garbage can even though it smells so bad. This is where, well, she then hears like a bunch of police officers are rushing by him. And this is where, well, mostly Issei is hiding behind like this garbage can, and he noticed what's it called? Some of the police officers being near the kind of place that he put Catherine. And this is where, well, he noticed that some of the police officers kind of said, we're gonna have to get the dogs to make sure that these criminals don't get away. Issei kind of grit his teeth, and this is where, well, he then pulls out his gun, and this is where, well, he then kind of started firing against the cops. This is where, well, the cops noticed and started rushing towards Issei, also pulling out their own guns. This is where Issei started rushing away from the cops before they can even shoot him, and Issei is able to sense the bullets before hitting him. This is where, well, Issei managed to smash into another store, and this time it was like a jewelry store, but the cameras didn't work because mostly Issei did something to the cameras so they wouldn't work anymore. The cops decide to surround this place, mostly where Issei would have been at. But this is where Issei right now puts the gun into his pocket, and this is where he then puts both of his hands together, clenches together, and he teleports. He's gone. This is where when the cops manage to decide to be brave enough to run inside, this is where, well, they find no one. The door behind that where Issei was at the countertop was mostly still locked, so of course they don't know where the person went. They were confused. They were just baffled from Issei just teleporting. Well, they didn't see him teleport, but they don't know where he went. He disappeared. Issei was on the roof, but this is where he rushed back towards where he kind of put Catherine, and decided to find that there was no cops around that place. And this is where, well, he decided to look into the trash can and says, hey, get out. This is where, well, Catherine decided to nod, and she got out, but she still has the smell. Issei decides to think of what to do. Of course, he did take the money out of what's it called, the Yakuza leader boss and some of the other people, and decides to just take a motel or like, yeah, just get a hotel for a second. But this is where, well, he decides to go to the hotel, and this is where, well, people are kind of just seeing Issei and Catherine looking quite disheveled. Somewhat, mostly Issei had to kind of somehow get rid of the blood, but not the point. But this is where, well, the person didn't really pay attention to them too much and decided to give them a card room. And of course, the where, well, mostly not a card room, mostly a key room. And this is where, well, mostly they go to the key room, and this is where, well, Catherine and mostly Issei are just there, well, sitting apart, mostly on two different beds. Mostly Issei said, so, how should I talk to you about this? This is where, well, mostly Issei wanted to whisper under his voice, and this is where Catherine still managed to hear and says, talk about me, what? About who you exactly are, and why the hell did you help us? Issei said, okay, so you're Catherine Hana, that's your full name. Catherine nodded. How do you know my first name, though? Issei sighs and decides to say, my name is Issei Hyodo. That's why, well, mostly Catherine widened her eyes and say, Issei? But why did you help us? This is where Issei says, I was actually going to the store. If you want to know, I was going to the store to go get some stuff. And of course, just because your place is the most cheaper place to actually buy stuff, I was actually going late at night, but not the point. I kind of saw the whole situation happen, decided to help out, and don't worry how I got this outfit here. Mostly, this is something, blah blah blah, you don't need to wonder. Mostly, Issei unzipped his coat, and of course, he had a black shirt underneath, but it was kind of tight a little bit, so of course, it showed a little bit of his muscles, which mostly Catherine blushes. He says, you should probably start using the shower room. This is where, well, mostly Catherine nodded. She decides to go into the shower. Of course, she needed to clean up herself, and of course, she needed to take off her clothes and other stuff. Well, Issei was doing the exact same thing. Mostly he was just taking off his shirt. And of course, he couldn't really use magic just to kind of, or not magic, mostly some energy to kind of restore his clothes back to normal. And mostly get rid of the blood. But this is where, well, he decided not to try to do that. But this is where, well, he did have his eyes closed most of the time for Catherine not to see them. But then again, she probably already saw them during the battle between those people. This is where, well, he decides. And this is where, well, Issei was just sitting on the bed for a second. Of course, he might have bloodied up the bed with just his pants alone because they had lots of blood. But this is where, well, see, Issei's thinking, maybe I should go home or something. No, I can't just leave Catherine here. It's a motel and they're creepy as hell half the time. This is where, well, mostly Catherine decides to, well, right now have mostly call Issei's name out. This is where, well, mostly Issei said, yeah, Catherine, do you need something? This is where Catherine says, can you come inside the shower room? This is where Issei said, why? This is where, well, Catherine says, because I need to, what's it called? Mostly wash you, don't I? This is where Issei's face becomes red and says, no, that's not what you gotta do. This is where, well, the shower kind of, like, water did turn off. I should also mention, I forgot to mention, but Issei did get shot mostly shot by some cops. Mostly, he did manage to dodge them, but not much of them, because there was a lot of them shooting back at him before mostly Issei could actually able to escape. This is where, well, he then kind of like took out the bullets during the time mostly when Catherine and Issei, well, Catherine was in the bathroom and mostly, or he wasn't, well, she wasn't entirely in the bathroom just yet, but mostly Issei was taking out the bullets thanks to the alcohol that was already provided in this mostly motel, and also like some pincers out, taking out the bullets and putting them on the drawer. And this is where, well, Issei decided to get bandages out of mostly one of the drawers from the bathroom, but mostly Catherine helped him out. So, of course, mostly putting it on there. Of course, she noticed the rib kind of muscle that he had underneath, but yeah. Of course, she wasn't trying to truly blush underneath, but yeah. Or just fully blush, but not the point. But we go into mostly Catherine calling Issei to hurry up in the bathroom. Of course, Issei says, but I'll do that later. Don't worry. You just watch. Just where. Well, Catherine opens the door, and of course, she shows her kind of. Well, mostly she doesn't have a towel around her kind of waist at all, or even on top of her chest, and she's showing off her voluptuous kind of chest, and of course, it's mostly her, mostly palish white skin. Not really palish white skin, but mostly. So of course, well. She kind of has her kind of palish white skin out, and of course, this is where it's dripping with water. This is where, well, she also has showing off her kind of C-cup breasts, and of course, where, well, they don't really have a bra or anything. It's also dripping with wet, and showing off her kind of huge, well, not huge, mostly big asses behind her, and this is where it's not really covered, and this is where, well, she's kind of angry and annoyed. This is where there's water on top of her head also, and she doesn't seem to have dried off. Her kind of like pinkish reddish eyes are glaring at Issei. This is where, well, Issei said, what are you? This is where Issei looks away until Catherine grabs his arm, and this is where she decides to drag him into the shower room. This is where she says, no buts, hurry up and get inside. This is where, well, Issei kind of just gets angry and annoyed, but of course, where, well, he decides to sit down on mostly this like bench that was there, like a sitting place, and this is where, well, he had to kind of have something over him, mostly like his clothing, like his pants, because he had to take it off somewhat. Of course, or not really, yeah, take off his pants and of course even his underwear, and does have a towel around him, so yeah, mostly she doesn't see his third sword, if you know what I mean. Not the point. This is where, well, if he was a sword wielder, but which he's not, but not the point. But this is where, well, mostly she is kind of, well, cleaning his back and actually scrubbing it where it doesn't actually hurt his other arm where it kind of has the bullets, and mostly has the bandages. This is where, well, She then said, "Stop kind of shaking, Issei." This is what she said in a very demanding tone, but yeah. This is where, Issei says, "Fine, I'm not trying to do." This is where, Catherine says, "Don't worry about this, I'll be fine." Mostly, she decided to lean her mostly body entirely onto Issei's back, which mostly made her kind of breast be on top of Issei's back, which made Issei blush and instantly red. Now, of course, he is trying not to open his eyes to try to meet, what's it called? Well, mostly, what's it called? Catherine's case, but this is where, we go into mostly a time skip of mostly she managed to wash up all around Issei's body, mostly on his upper body, and this is where, she also did try to scrub on his legs, but this is where Issei says, "I'll do that later." This is where, mostly Catherine nodded. Now, of course, she knows that a male and a, female should not be in the bedroom at the same time, because anything can go happen, but mostly Issei was not prepared enough to mention any of that. This is where, she was only helping him because he helped her out with the whole kind of like raid of the gang boss, whatever. That's why, even if he murdered someone, bitch, it was shocking, but not the point. That's why, mostly, Katrin decided to wash up on herself, but really she couldn't wash up her back, so of course she asked Issei if he can do that. Issei decides to try to do it, but when his eyes close, and this is where Catherine glares at Issei and says, "Can you actually look where you're scrubbing?" This is where Issei's like, sorry. This is where Issei opened his eyes, showing his crystallized blue eyes and his red eyes. This is where mostly Issei had a very blushing face, looking at Catherine, and Catherine noticed the eye colors. This is where Issei closes his eyes again, but this is where Catherine says, "Issei, look at my eyes." Issei says, "I am looking at your eyes." "No, you're not. You have them closed." This is where Issei sighs and decides to show his eye color, which mostly made, Catherine gasp. Well, yeah, Catherine gasped from the eye colors of mostly Issei. Issei has one red eye and one blue eye. This is where Catherine says, "Are they my real eyes?" "Yes, they are." Also, this is where Catherine managed to kind of splash water onto his hair, which did turn silver after a while because mostly it did have hair dye, but it was actually not lasting too long anymore. So, of course, it became like whitish silver after a while. This is where Catherine said, what? But it's this really how you look like?" This is where Issei kind of just gets annoyed a little bit, but yes. Also, he did have palish skin underneath, but yeah. Or not palish, tannish a little bit, but not the point. This is where Catherine says, "So this is how you look like?" This is where Issei says, "Yes." This is where, mostly Catherine has remembered meeting Issei's parents before, and this is where she then says, "But your parents have brownish hair and brownish eyes. How did you have?" Issei says, "Because they're my foster parents, not my real parents." This is where Catherine was shocked, and this is where she then says, "So, does that mean you're not actually related to the Hyodo?" "Nope. The Hyodo name is just my foster name, my foster last name. Of course, only an adopted last name to have. My real last name will be coming in due time. I'm not really gonna say it now." This is where Catherine gets angry and says, "Issei, you already know my last name. I should know your last name." Issei sighs and says, "Fine, don't tell anyone though. The name's Issei Kuragawa, not Issei Hyodo." This is where we'll see Catherine nod and says, "I see. Don't tell anyone, okay?" We'll see Issei beg and plead for mostly Catherine not to tell anyone. Catherine nodded and says, "Don't worry, I won't tell anyone, okay?" This is where Issei was happy, and then kind of just smiles at mostly Catherine. Of course, this is where Issei's towel accidentally fell down because he didn't wrap it well, and this is where Catherine looks down and Issei also looks down, and this is where both of them looks embarrassed. Mostly Issei is embarrassed because mostly something was kind of standing up, while mostly Catherine was actually blushing because that thing was yeah. But we're gonna go into a time skip of that. Mostly, Issei was kind of on bed, mostly, yes, he was in the bed of the motel after mostly their wash up and just waiting for the clothing to dry. Of course, things might have turned to this and that, and maybe they kind of had a bit of a little fun, if you know what I mean. Wink, no, I'm just kidding. But, of course, that happens, and this is where, they didn't really do anything too sexualized, but this is where, mostly Issei didn't really lose its virginity because he already lost it like a while ago, but this is where, Issei didn't want to mention any of that. This is where, mostly Catherine felt very happy and pleased with herself, but not the point. This is where, we go into mostly the time skip of mostly the clothes drying up, and of course, like, deciding to go back home. Mostly Catherine realizes it's already 5 in the morning, while Issei realizes it's also 5 in the morning, he has to go home. which mostly his parents aren't going to be there because they already left. And of course, yeah. Of course, Catherine left and Issei already left also. But this is actually where I'm going to end it off for kind of part 3 of this What If. Other than that, bye, see you, and yeah.